Today, we'll talk about anger. More specifically, a form of anger that is often overlooked in our daily life. Yet, it is a very common and powerful one. Now, many of us know to recognize when we experience anger and to allow ourselves some time to calm down, process things a bit before we respond. But what about when the anger is because we feel an injustice was done? Or when we feel that we or others we love and care about are being treated unfairly? Shouldn't we fight for what is right? That is what we'll dive in today. This is based on channeled information from a group of ascended masters that discusses the ins and outs of this form of anger, bringing to light some of its more hidden aspects. Very deep information. A few reminders before we get started. If you have any questions or comments, simply leave a comment below. Lastly, as with any information we come across on our beautiful planet right now, use your discernment. Take what resonates, leave what's not. And with that said, Noel,
The beings that I am channeling for this next piece of information is a group of ascended masters. They refer to themselves, their collective body, as the greater I am. Okay, let's begin. The difference between anger and indignancy. Channeling of February 7th, 2026. The ego has many, many traps, roads that take you off your destined path. Here we speak of the indignant ones. I personally looked up the meaning of indignant, and it means feeling angry, characterized by, or expressing strong displeasure because of something one considers wrong, unfair, unjust, offensive, insulting, or shocking. Considers could be that this is also an assumed perspective. They begin again indignant with anger and scorn, a dangerous trait that leads to hate, envy, and jealousy, especially when they deny or cannot handle the truth of themselves. Some people can handle the truth of themselves with humble acceptance and humility. Those who are stubborn, prideful, and boastful often reflect indignant behavior. But that pride and stubbornness won't allow them to behave any other way, eh? Indignant behavior is a trigger for an even deeper wound. Understand the opposite of indignancy. So I looked it up. The opposite of indignant is angerless, delighted, pleased, calm, cheerful, content, gleeful, happy, peaceful, and satisfied. So let's continue the channeling. Indignancy is a stagnancy to one's peace and joy. Some may take this indignant behavior of feeling they received unfair or unjust treatment, and in their prideful and or boastful ways entice another to believe and join their pain in a movement to protest for justice, when, alas, they are just casting their suffering upon the world for all others to see, witness, and or join their suffering cause. Not many can be humble with their pain, and is the one supporting their cause, helping them to heal, or manipulating them. Negative entities can take advantage of weakness. Ask oneself, whose pain is this? Sometimes one can be a fool to talk, or even try to talk to the foolish. Perhaps sit with that Buddhist who silently sits in his peace, ignoring the fools. Their interaction and communication are always one of peace. Energy is a precious commodity of one's good health. Why indignant fools? Because indignant fools think they know it all. Because all that they think they know comes from their anger. Indignant toxicity is a time bomb. Let go of the anger. Cultivate self-worth again. Understand the difference between anger and indignant behavior. So I looked it up again. Anger has intent to cause harm. They responded, intent can be hidden under the simple expression of anger. And in this vision and knowing, I was picking up on someone yelling at another in anger. You think they're just angry, but the hidden intention they're not saying, or their hidden thought was of, I could just kill you here now. I could hear them saying, this is harmful. So I did look up indignancy. Indignancy feels injustice to being harmed. And they said sometimes as time goes on, one may eventually hold anger against the one that harmed them. So in this vision and knowing, I got that at first someone may feel indignant that someone did an injustice to them. Unhealed, this can develop into anger, fear, hatred, and the spiral of negative thoughts begin, and then they wish to cause harm in that spiral of this unhealed energy. And they said this is harmful as well. They say, neither wins. Trapped. All is a trap. The ego may be stuck in what some call a karmic loop or pattern loop. Deeper truth. Angry ones create the indignant ones. Follow anger. You will find the root source of their pain. Observe. Like attracts like. Here, the vision was that unhealed, angry people attract angry, indignant people stuck in the same loop pattern as them. The solution. Heal thyself. What do you think, Amir? Any comments?
This is fascinating. And for me, I am still processing how easy it is for people to move from being indignant to being angry. And then before you notice, there is now I feel I'm angry because of unjust that was done, let's say, to me. And now I'm already feeling like a victim. And it's starting to get so much entangled where we spoke about it in our first podcast about episode about emotions and the ego, where there's still room, even now with the anger, for a deeper understanding and forgiveness. That doesn't mean you justify the behavior, but why holding anger, that energy in you? So I think it's just such a deep, profound. The moment they broke it down to the subtlety, which is not so subtle now, between being indignant to being angry, it opens the door to a lot of other emotions and it's just a complete being entangled with all these, which I think it prevents an individual from deeply understanding what was happening. And it's also other beings who wants to create a mess and chaos on earth. It's an easy way or a tool to play with humans. You feel that this is unjust has happened, and now you're on a mission to save everyone, and you don't just realize that you're just being angry, and maybe there is a time to step back and just see where it's coming from.
True. I think it would be wise to notice when we are angry and then to question ourselves if the anger is the trigger of our own traumas. How we handle our anger is the bigger question. Can we handle it constructively with others? Or does the other incite more anger? Who's the bully, full of pride and arrogance, displaying their superiority over others? Are they even worth our time to just continue that sort of discussion? I think the danger is when anger turns to hate and harmful thoughts and actions. Well, I was wondering why they brought this topic out. And I thought about what was going on in the world currently, because this information just came out of nowhere and it delightfully caused me to research so much within myself and in the world. And so I talk about the Buddhists, and then I thought about all the protests, the ICE protests and everything going on. So there is a walk for peace by Buddhists walking to DC, and you can see how they come together from the opposite side of anger. One somewhere out there doing harm with those ICE protests, and here the Buddhists are so peaceful and loving, and it's their movement is entirely different and opposite from the ICE protests. I was contemplating about this, why this information came out. It points to even a deeper, finer, intricate mechanism of that difference between being indignant and anger. So indignant, we're going to feel like something is unjustly done, but incited by another or unhealed of whatever, why that anger was triggered in the first place, you can see how it would spiral, that indignancy spirals into anger that wants to cause harm, and then an action develops where it is now acted out in the world. That part, they say, if you consider some of the ICE protests that are going on, they said that sometimes we get involved in things that's not even our pain to begin with. So if you think about movements in general, was that somebody had a hurt, an injustice done, and they're hurt, and they are going to go out and share their injustice with another and another and another. And sooner or later, you went from a group of friends to maybe 20 or 30 people in the room hearing your injustice. And pretty soon, everyone is incited and they're joining you in this. It turns now ugly. And they go to a town meeting and now everyone is yelling. And you know what? No one stopped to check with their inner consciousness, their knowing, their guidance. Is this my pain? Because if you step back and look, this pain started with one individual. I think it was interesting how this information came up because it's like, oh my gosh, how many times have we gotten involved in causes that we thought we were doing justice in the world when actually all we were doing was supporting someone else's pain? This is very deep information. What do you think, Amir?
I think there is a definitely social conditioning where something happened, let's say unjust, and then people say, how can you just stand there and do nothing about it and stuff like that? And they started to shame even and attack those who do not join them. And I think the wisdom here is just to see it and say, wait a minute. And it doesn't mean that there are no actions that can be done because of an unjust and to address this. But between that and to hold and cultivate that energy of anger and then get all the supporters to that is such a different expression. And with the Buddhist walk of peace, we just saw the example. It's a perfect example in a perfect timing too, because there are so many changes in our world right now as of 2026. We're talking about all kind of disclosures about stuff that nobody wants to hear, that makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. They would make a lot of people feel unjust. And also different systems, different changes. It's going to make a lot of people feel maybe angry that they've been lied to, played with, and so on. So perfect timing for that to simply say, okay, great, you're angry or you feel indignancy. The same event happens to 10 people, 8 people or 6 people or 7 people would be angry, let's say, and 3 would just be completely, okay, I understand, but I forgive them. It's not their fault. I understand this, etc., etc. So I think, Noel, like you said, that this is an opportunity just to look inward and see this rather than dancing into this loop where you're just getting more and more angry and more people are being angry together, and then war starts and nobody actually remember even why after a while, because it's just like a snowball that starts small and now it's destroying villages.
Yeah. Who wins?
Nobody wins.
Or better yet, does anyone ask who gets harmed in the process?
I think forgiveness is such an important power, and I feel there is another conditioning, social conditioning, that if you don't do something or if you just forgive and not being angry, you're weak. I feel this is sign of wisdom and strength when it comes from a genuine place where you can see the others, you have deeper understanding, and then you just don't have room for anger in you because you just forgive. You just forgive. And I speak from, I had a few experiences like that in my life when I realized that the anger just simply doesn't belong to me. That pain doesn't even belong to me. But for some reason, maybe when I was a child, I chose it subconsciously. I chose to get that pain in me. And now it's being triggered again and again. And there's an opportunity there. There is an opportunity here to just release it once and for all.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Have you noticed then in the past, maybe with this pain you're talking about, when you were triggered, and that trigger brings up the memory of whatever that trauma was, and that pain resurfaced, or did you experience the anger again? Could you say that you observed that anger spiraling then to one with thoughts of harm in your anger? I'm just like questioning how they brought this information out that's going to, oh my goodness, I've got to watch my thoughts now. We
Yeah,
need to
with
check ourselves. Where are we? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. With, in my case, the examples that I have now, there was no intent of harm, but there was clearly an anger that came with a sense, I would say, of victim, and it's not fair. All this dance between feeling like being indignant to angry to it's I'm a victim. And what helped me tremendously was, and I think this was definitely spirit work just to help me out. It basically, I was sitting at night and feeling all angry and I'm a victim and it's not fair. And then I hear a voice in my head, and that voice asks me, is that anger? Does it belong to you? And I start to cry. I said, no, it's not. So that voice says, so you can let it go. And I let it go, and I felt like some energy leaving my body. It was subtle, but I knew this is just not, this is something more significant. And a few days later, forgiveness just came as spontaneously, as almost like a side effect of releasing the anger.
Mm-hmm.
There was no intent of causing harm, but just the thought of anger and the pain were just dancing there for a long time, for years and years, decades and decades. And it was released in, I think, in maybe a course of a few days when I realized that there was that anger did not belong to me. I would say also that another thing that really helped me a lot, observing myself too, is to also realize that we're all innocent at our core. We come here to this life. We don't remember much, most of us. We're experiencing conditioning and training into all kind of things. Some souls believe that they actually wanted to experience those challenges. So when you look at a person just like you that right now is triggering an anger in you, that person is as innocent as you.
In the channeling, they stated deeper truth. Angry ones create indignant ones. And they did show me a little diagram of it's just a cycle. The angry ones keep creating indignant ones, and and from it, the indignant ones are born as angry ones. And so those indignant ones that are now angry, right, create more indignant ones in the world. And more indignant ones are going to turn into angry ones. If they're unhealed, it's just a repetitive loop, like they said, pattern or loop, pattern loop, karmic karmic loop pattern or pattern loop, something like that. What do you think of that? Can you see the logic in that? Do you think angry ones can create indignant ones?
I think it's the difference here is that when a person feel I'm angry because this is not fair, there's almost like I feel in need, maybe I would say a human need to do something and to also gather more people.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very natural human behavior. I feel that something not fair happened to me. I'm angry, and now I'm going to grab everyone or all my friends and support network and grab them with me because that's not fair. But the reason is what they're saying is the reason you want to gather all of them, is it because really it's unfair or because you're angry? And if you just forget, and if you just let the anger be the driver, and again, think about the Buddhist walk of peace, the other example. But if anger is your problem, then you're carrying it with the others unless they have the understanding of what's happening and they would stop. But I could totally see how it's creating more. And when you're speaking about this, Noel, what I saw was that there's starting to be like weeds on your garden, and the wind starting to spread them, and before you notice, the whole garden is being controlled and dominated by the weed, all those weeds. I think I can say that a lot of people feel power when they are doing something that they believe address unjust that happened to them or to others, not knowing or not be paying attention to the anger as the driver. Or even let's get even.
So what you're saying is someone who is driven by this indignancy or anger, wouldn't you say they have a false sense of what power is? There's the power of love, and then there's the power of fueled by anger and hate.
And the power of forgiveness.
Yeah.
To say, I understand what was done, but I choose to forgive.
Yeah.
And that's it. The story ends before it begins. No more.
The end.
No more. No more fun. No more fostering forest fire.
Oh, yes.
It's so true that it's because of the unjust. And I feel underneath the hood, you can say that it's almost like there is an anger, and maybe there's angers about other things too that are being repressed. And now we got the opportunity to bring everything, even angers that we have about other things, just because we can justify it.
And when you're justifying it, all you're trying to do is protect your hurt self, your trauma self. You're not healing anything, right?
The moment I
The
feel
protection or the validation of why I should hang on to that pain.
I feel the moment that people allow themselves to go from being indignant to angry, it's almost like a permission slip because they can justify it. Now I can be angry because it's okay to be angry because justify it, because it's not fair. But the truth is that anger that they tap into it, maybe because of something else completely.
Exactly. Follow the anger, as they said, and you will find the root source of their pain.
And follow your anger, not the group anger, not how you were convinced to join this campaign of, yeah.
Yeah, Because you're not responsible for their healing. They have to be willing to step forward to want to heal themselves of their own pains and step. Then it would free themselves of the group. All of a sudden they'll be healed and they're like, what am I doing in this group? This violent group, right? Yeah, if more people were healed, there'd be no violent group. Or, I don't know.
And I would say again that the fact that you choose not to be angry and just doesn't mean that there's not a way to address injustice. It's just that it's not going to come with the energy of anger.
Sure.
It's
I
going to
think
come
so.
with the energy of forgiveness and love. And then I feel you may run into new solutions.
Yes, clarity. Everyone's more amenable in, you know, cooperation and collaboration and yeah, how can we heal this together? What are our solutions? I think, yeah, everyone would win in that scenario. Well then, may love win.
Love always wins.